Thank you for watching P356 Blog. My name is Sarah, and it's my goal to show who God is and that He is still at work in our lives today. It is never too late to be an influencer for Jesus. Check out more at p356blog.com. This week, we're going to go through Proverbs chapter 12, and some key verses I want you to be listening for are verses having to deal with working hard, acting faithful, being encouraging, and being a critical thinker. So those are some things that I want to talk about as we go through Proverbs chapter 12. Let's get started. Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. A good man obtains favor from the Lord, but a man of evil devices he condemns. No one is established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous will never be moved. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are just, the counsels of the wicked are deceitful. The words of the wicked lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright delivers them. The wicked are overthrown and are no more, but the house of the righteous will stand. A man is commended according to his good sense, but one of twisted mind is despised. Better to be lowly and have a servant than to play the great man and lack bread. Whoever is righteous has regard for the life of his beast, but the mercy of the wicked is cruel. Whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense. Whoever is wicked covets the spoil of evildoers, but the root of the righteous bears fruit. An evil man is ensnared by the transgression of his lips, but the righteous escapes from trouble. From the fruit of his mouth a man is satisfied with good, and the work of a man's hand comes back to him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but a wise man listens to advice. The vexation of a fool is known at once, but the prudent ignores an insult. Whoever speaks the truth gives honest evidence, but a false witness utters deceit. There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of those who devise evil, but those who plan peace have joy. No ill befalls the righteous, but the wicked are filled with trouble. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who act faithfully are his delight. A prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims folly. The hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. Anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. One who is righteous is a guide to his neighbor, but the way of the wicked leads them astray. Whoever is slothful will not roast his game, but the diligent man will get precious wealth. In the path of righteousness is life, and in its pathway there is no death. Let's see how you did. I asked you to take a look at the verses that related to working hard, acting faithful, being encouraging, and having critical thinking as we were going through Proverbs chapter 12. So let's go through those step by step so I can explain to you from my perspective what I think the Bible is saying about these things and these little wisdom nuggets, as I like to call them, throughout the book of Proverbs. So if we're talking about working hard, there are several verses in chapter 12 that lead us to believe that working hard is something that we should be striving for as believers, as people who follow God. So in verse 11 and 12, it says, whoever works his land will have plenty of bread, but he who follows worthless pursuits lacks sense. Whoever is wicked covets the spoil of evildoers, but the root of the righteous bears fruit. Verse 14, the second half says, and the work of a man's hand comes back to him. Verse 24, the hand of the diligent will rule, while the slothful will be put to forced labor. Verse 27, whoever is slothful will not roast his game, but the diligent man will get precious wealth. So I think what all of these verses have in common is they're talking about working hard for what you have, not coveting or not being jealous of the things that other people seem to have, especially in a world where social media is a place where people always put the best of what they have, or maybe even the best of what they don't have, but they got a hold of just to put a picture up or a post up. And so we want to make sure that we are working hard for what we have. And if that means not having a lot, but we are still working hard for it, and we are happy and we are finding joy in the Lord, that that's enough for us, that we're not always expecting more, but we're using what God has given us we're working hard for it. It says the slothful will not roast his game. So the person who is lazy and not putting in the effort is not going to have the outcome that somebody who is hardworking will. Then I talked about being encouraging to others. So verse 25 says, anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. So why that leads me to believe that we should be encouraging, especially in the day and age that we live in today, where people are full of anxiety, full of worry, especially with access to all sources on the internet. Things can worry us and then worry us more and then worry us more. And so this says that anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down. So if we know that about people, we know that anxiety is at an all-time high these days. It says, but a good word makes him glad. We should be encouraging to other people. The people closest to us in our home, we should be encouraging to them and uplifting them. But also our neighbors, our friends, our coworkers. We should be uplifting and encouraging, because that's what the Bible says will help somebody who is being weighed down. Also in verse 4, it talks about a wife being encouraging to her husband. So I'll read verse 4 again. An excellent wife is the crown of her husband, but she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. And the reason I believe this to mean that we should be encouraging as a wife to our husbands is it gives our husbands the feel of encouragement, that they are working hard and they're being noticed for it, that they are the man of the house, and we are recognizing that and being encouraging to them. But it also means, as an excellent wife, being faithful to our husbands, being supportive of our husbands. And it says, she who brings shame is like rottenness in his bones. That imagery is so descriptive, that if you're bringing shame on your husband, talking bad about him behind his back or even to his face, either way, that's bringing rottenness inside of him that just tears him down. We should be uplifting and encouraging our husbands if you're married. And that goes along with, again, verse 25, if there's anxiety weighing them down, we should be uplifting and encouraging them. And then moving on, acting faithful. So verse 22 talks about this big word, abomination. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord. Telling lies, not being honest with people is so terrible to God. And then it says, but those who act faithfully are his delight. So are we being honest, even if it's uncomfortable sometimes? Doing it in a loving way, but acting faithful to the Lord for what he has called us to do. And then finally, critical thinking. So this goes along with verse 1 and verse 8. Verse 1 says, whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid. We need to think about the way that we do things. Sometimes we're corrected, and are we taking that knowledge and improving, or are we rejecting it? And then the Bible literally says you're stupid if you reject reproof or correction. Critical thinking is assessing your situation and figuring out what's the best way to go about this. Verse 8 says, a man is commended according to his good sense, but one of twisted mind is despised. So somebody is commended or recognized for their good sense, for their critical thinking, for finding solutions to problems. But somebody who has a twisted mind, trying to get the edge or trying to go the wrong way about situations, is despised. So those are some things that I wanted to point out, some wisdom nuggets in Proverbs chapter 12. Maybe you've got something different that I didn't pick up on. Go ahead and comment that below if you did. But these are the 4 things that I want you to think about this week. Am I a hard worker? Am I encouraging to others? Am I faithful to what God has called me to? And am I using my critical thinking skills to find solutions to problems? Or am I just finding ways to complain about them this week? So I hope that you got something from this week. We will tune in next week for Proverbs chapter 13 as we go through weekly wisdom through the book of Proverbs. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.